At the Oscars, luxury is more than spectacle, it's a flavor. The caviar served to Hollywood's elite isn't just food, it's black gold. Harvested from rare sturgeon, it's treated like a prized artifact sealed in precision tins and flown under lock and key to ensure perfection. One misstep, too much warmth, a rough transfer, and its perfection is lost. But what does it take to get this black gold to Hollywood's biggest night? Let's find out. Only the finest caviar earns a place at the Oscars. The most coveted pearls come from sturgeon, living fossils that take over a decade to mature, their eggs prized like liquid gold. Farms in Italy, France, and the Caspian Sea dedicate years to perfecting the process, ensuring every bead is flawless. Albino beluga, osietra, and kaluga varieties are the most prized, their delicate texture melting on the tongue like liquid gold. But rarity isn't enough. Strict global regulations control every ounce. Sturgeon fishing in the wild is heavily restricted, so only select farms with ethical, sustainable practices can supply high-end caviar. Each tin must be tagged, traced, and approved under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, CITES. No certification, no entry. Even Hollywood's elite can't bend these rules. Once harvested, the eggs are gently sieved, salted, and packed in vacuum-sealed tins. Timing is everything. Too much processing and the delicate texture is ruined. Stored at a precise 2 degrees Celsius, each batch is inspected by caviar experts who determine its fate. The best is reserved for VIPs, ensuring that when it reaches the Oscars, it's nothing short of perfection. Caviar isn't shipped, it's safeguarded. This living delicacy reacts to every degree of temperature, every second of air exposure. Unlike other gourmet foods, it demands precision. Just a slight fluctuation can mean disaster. A fraction of a degree too warm, and the eggs begin to soften, losing their signature pop. Too cold and ice crystals form, rupturing the delicate structure. Even oxygen exposure can alter its flavor profile, making precise packaging a non-negotiable art form. The process begins the moment caviar is extracted. Once the eggs are carefully removed from the sturgeon, they're sieved to separate impurities, lightly salted to enhance their natural brininess, and packed into tins that are nothing short of masterpieces in food preservation. Unlike most gourmet items, caviar can't be stored in ordinary metal or plastic containers. These materials can react with its oils, subtly altering its delicate taste. Instead, tins are lined with non-reactive materials, often mother of pearl, to preserve the purity of the flavor. Each tin is then vacuum sealed, removing excess oxygen while maintaining just enough internal pressure to keep the eggs intact without crushing them. Even with the best packaging, temperature control remains the single biggest challenge in caviar transport. The ideal range is between 2 degrees Celsius and +2 degrees Celsius, colder than a standard refrigerator but not quite frozen. At this temperature, the caviar stays in a perfect state of suspension, its natural oils remaining intact without degradation. To achieve this, tins are packed in layers within insulated cases, lined with high-performance gel packs, which provide stable cooling over long distances. These gel packs are far more advanced than traditional ice packs, as they maintain consistent temperatures for extended periods without causing frost damage. But passive cooling alone isn't enough for caviar destined for the Oscars. The most prestigious suppliers take extra precautions, using cutting-edge technology to monitor conditions in real time. Many shipments are equipped with IoT-enabled sensors that continuously track temperature, humidity, and even vibration levels. These tiny devices send alerts to logistics teams if there's even a slight deviation from optimal conditions. If a shipment gets stuck on the tarmac in warm weather, or if an unexpected delay threatens its stability, emergency protocols are triggered to prevent damage. Some suppliers even go as far as having backup refrigeration units on standby at major transport hubs, ensuring that no matter what happens, the caviar remains in pristine condition. Caviar isn't just delicate, it's breakable. Each pearl must remain perfectly intact, or it's ruined. A rough landing, a sudden jolt, even the slightest pressure shift can crush these fragile eggs, turning rare beluga into an unsellable paste. To prevent this, caviar tins are often cushioned within high-density foam cases, specially designed to absorb shocks and prevent any internal movement during transport. For the most exclusive batches, hand carrying is the only acceptable method. Some Michelin-starred chefs and high-end caviar suppliers insist on personally escorting their most prized shipments, ensuring that no unnecessary risk is taken. In these cases, caviar travels in carry-on luggage nestled in precision-cooled cases with security clearance that allows it to bypass regular airport screening procedures. From the moment the tins are sealed to the second they arrive in Hollywood, every aspect of the packing process is meticulously controlled. Nothing is left to chance, because when the world's most famous actors, directors, and industry elites take their first bite on Oscar night, the caviar must be flawless. Caviar isn't just a delicacy, it's a symbol of power, wealth, and exclusivity. At the Oscars, where every detail is carefully curated to reflect luxury, the caviar served to Hollywood's elite is no exception. The rarest varieties, sourced from the finest sturgeon farms in Italy, France, and the Caspian Sea, don't simply get shipped in a standard refrigerated truck. They are handled with a level of care, security, and precision normally reserved for priceless artifacts. Unlike mass-produced foods, high-end caviar is produced in small quantities, making every shipment extraordinarily valuable. A single tin of top-tier beluga or ossietra can cost thousands of dollars, and large orders for elite events like the Oscars can exceed six figures. This extreme value makes caviar a prime target for theft, fraud, and counterfeiting. To prevent loss, suppliers use rigorous tracking systems, armored transport, and in some cases, private security escorts. Everything starts at the source. Before leaving the sturgeon farm, each batch undergoes strict documentation under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, CITES. Sturgeon populations have been heavily restricted due to overfishing, and every tin must be legally certified to prove it comes from an approved, sustainable source. Without these documents, it cannot cross international borders. The penalties for smuggling unregulated caviar are severe: steep fines, confiscation, and even criminal charges. Once packed, the caviar must move quickly but carefully. Every second counts. Unlike champagne, truffles, or Wagyu beef, which can withstand minor fluctuations in temperature, caviar is fragile. Exposure to heat, air, or excessive movement can destroy its quality. To prevent spoilage, shipments are transferred in temperature-controlled containers designed specifically for ultra-sensitive perishables. These cases maintain an exact range between 2 degrees C and +2 degrees C, ensuring that the caviar stays in perfect condition. Some of the most elite caviar suppliers even use IoT-enabled tracking devices inside each case, monitoring temperature, humidity, and movement in real time. If a shipment sits on a hot tarmac for too long or experiences an unexpected shift in conditions, alerts are sent to logistics teams who can intervene immediately. For elite suppliers, commercial flights are a gamble they won't take. Delays, mishandling, and unpredictable cargo conditions pose too much risk. Some brands bypass it all, opting for private jets where every detail, from air temperature to turbulence, is controlled. These flights operate under strict schedules, minimizing time on the ground. Upon arrival, shipments often land at private terminals, where high-end catering teams, Michelin-starred chefs, or luxury food suppliers personally take custody of the product. When commercial flights are used, caviar is never treated like standard cargo. It travels in a special, climate-controlled section of the aircraft, often alongside other rare delicacies, truffles from France, Japanese A5 Wagyu, or aged Parmigiano Reggiano. The logistics teams responsible for these shipments work with airlines to ensure proper handling, sometimes booking an entire refrigeration unit exclusively for their caviar to prevent exposure to fluctuating conditions. Once in Los Angeles, security remains a top priority. Luxury catering companies responsible for Oscars events understand that high-value food shipments can be targeted. There have been cases of counterfeit caviar infiltrating the market, where lower-quality RO is passed off as premium beluga. To prevent fraud, some suppliers use tamper-proof seals and blockchain-based tracking, verifying authenticity at every stage of transport. This ensures that the product received by Hollywood's top chefs is the exact same one that left the farm. From the airport, shipments are transferred into refrigerated vehicles, sometimes with private security escorts. Some brands go even further, hiring high-end food couriers who specialize in transporting perishable luxury goods under strict conditions. Every detail is planned to prevent temperature fluctuations, rough handling, or exposure to external contaminants. Before any caviar reaches the Oscars venue, final quality checks take place. Catering teams inspect the tins, verifying that they have remained sealed, temperature stable, and untampered with. For some of the most exclusive batches, Michelin-starred chefs themselves conduct a last-minute taste test, ensuring that the texture, salinity, and aroma meet the highest standards. At this stage, only the best tins make it through. If a batch is deemed slightly off, even by a fraction, it will never be served at an Oscars event. The stakes are too high, and perfection is non-negotiable. Caviar may appear effortlessly luxurious when served on handcrafted plates alongside vintage champagne, but the reality behind its transport is anything but simple. The effort, security, and precision required to ensure that it reaches Hollywood in flawless condition reflect not just its price, but its place as a delicacy reserved for the world's most elite gatherings. Caviar isn't just valuable, it's regulated like an artifact. Every tin must have a CITES certificate proving it comes from a legal, sustainable source. No paperwork, no entry. U.S. Customs won't hesitate to seize shipments without proper documentation. Smuggling or falsifying records can result in massive fines, shipment destruction, or permanent bans on imports. Upon arrival in Los Angeles, the caviar enters an expedited customs clearance process. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, along with the FDA and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, conduct strict inspections. Officials verify permits, inspect packaging for authenticity, and check for fraud. Counterfeit caviar, where cheaper fish roe is mislabeled as beluga or osietra, is an ongoing concern in the luxury food world. Delays at customs are a major risk. Unlike wine or truffles, which have longer shelf lives, caviar is highly perishable. Too much time in storage, even under refrigeration, can degrade its delicate texture and flavor. To prevent setbacks, suppliers hire customs brokers who ensure paperwork is flawless, pre-clearing shipments so they pass through with minimal delay. Some of the most exclusive brands even use VIP import channels, allowing their shipments priority handling upon arrival. Once released, the caviar is immediately transferred to a high-end logistics service. Refrigerated vehicles, pre-cooled to exactly 2 degrees Hex to plus 2 degrees C, wait at the airport, ensuring no break in the cold chain. Michelin-starred chefs or luxury catering teams often oversee the pickup personally, verifying that the tins are intact and temperatures remained stable throughout transport. Before a single spoonful is served, the final round of inspections begins. Catering teams carefully open each tin, checking for consistency, color, and texture. Some suppliers conduct last-minute tastings, ensuring that the caviar meets their exacting standards. Any tin that doesn't meet expectations, too soft, too salty, or lacking its signature briny pop, is rejected. The best batches head to Hollywood's most exclusive locations. Some are delivered to private dining rooms of A-list actors, where personal chefs prepare lavish pre-Oscars meals. Others are sent to 5-star hotels offering VIP guests early tastings before the event. The majority, however, go to the Academy's official catering team, where they are plated with extreme precision for the main event. By the time an Oscar nominee takes their first bite, that caviar has crossed oceans, cleared intense scrutiny, and been handled by experts at every stage. Because on a night where only the best is accepted, perfection is the only option. Timing is everything. Caviar must be kept at the perfect temperature until the very last second. Too warm, and the eggs begin to soften. Too cold, and they lose their signature texture. Some catering teams display it on hand-carved ice sculptures, keeping it chilled without freezing. Others serve it in individual tins, nestled in custom-made cooling trays that maintain the ideal conditions throughout the night. Every element is carefully chosen to protect the caviar's pure taste. Metal spoons are banned. Contact with silver or steel can alter the delicate brininess. Instead, guests are served with mother-of-pearl spoons, allowing the full depth of flavor to shine. Traditionalists enjoy caviar in its purest form, placed on the back of the hand for direct tasting, while others pair it with classic accompaniments, blinis, creme fraiche, and chilled vodka or vintage champagne. Some of the most exclusive after-parties take indulgence to the next level. At certain VIP-only events, caviar is served atop edible gold flakes, transforming an already rare delicacy into a shimmering statement of opulence. Some chefs incorporate it into gourmet canapés, layered over Wagyu beef tartare, infused into truffle butter, or presented on handcrafted mini soufflés. Presentation is only part of the experience. The service itself is designed to be theatrical. At some events, white-gloved servers present caviar from crystal bowls, offering guests a selection of rare varieties. At others, private caviar sommeliers walk the room, guiding Hollywood's elite through tasting notes, explaining the differences between beluga, oscietra, and kaluga like a fine wine expert describing a vintage Bordeaux. For some guests, the night wouldn't be complete without caviar. Some A-list attendees request personal servings in their dressing rooms before stepping onto the red carpet. Others have tins delivered to their private suites after the ceremony, continuing the indulgence long after the awards are handed out. By the end of the night, thousands of grams of the world's finest caviar have been enjoyed, each spoonful a reflection of meticulous sourcing, flawless transport, and unparalleled presentation. At the Oscars, caviar isn't just served, it's staged. Every spoonful is a statement, every bite a symbol of wealth, power, and perfection. Caviar at the Oscars isn't just food, it's a symbol of prestige. Sourced from the rarest sturgeon, it travels under strict security, passes intense inspections, and arrives in flawless condition. Served on ice, paired with champagne, and presented with precision, every bite reflects luxury. Behind the glamour lies a hidden world of expertise and meticulous logistics. Because at Hollywood's biggest night, even the caviar must be perfect. If you love discovering the secrets of gourmet excellence, hit subscribe and explore more hidden stories of the world's most exclusive foods.